Hey, Kurt Curtis coming at you from the Full Octane Garage, and today's topic is going to be the top 5 things that I hate about the C8 Corvette. And actually, hate's a little strong, it's probably dislike, but we'll get right to it. So, I finally got to see a C8 Corvette in the wild. Well, as wild as it gets, and that's in Bowling Green, Kentucky at the Corvette Museum. Okay, so that's kind of wild. So anyways, they did have the anniversary at the Corvette Museum, and GM set the display up, and they had the cutaway Corvettes, and they had the real Corvettes. And the cutaway Corvettes were really cool. All the aluminum infrastructure, the cutaway on the engine, you could see all the internals of the engine, you could see that new dual clutch transmission, and it all looked awesome. And then we get into the tent where the real car is, and you get to see the car, you get to see the passenger compartment, you get to see all of the accessories. Then there's 3 different seat options, there's multiple wheel options, you can actually buy tennis shoes, you can buy accessories, you can buy wearables. Corvette's really hit a home run on all of the accessorizing and the amount of options that you could possibly get. Now, I'm kind of used to having a limited amount of options, and that made it a little easier and a little more affordable to select. Now you look at the Corvette base price being about $60,000. They are going to option you to death just like they do on a Porsche 911. You go in and purchase a Porsche 911 and nothing's standard. It's getting to be that way with the Corvette, and I guess Corvette's taking a page out of the European book of how do we sell a car and how do we make more money at it. My first thoughts on seeing it in person. I expected it to wow me a little bit more than it did. It did not wow me like I thought. Now granted, I didn't really get a good view of it. It was sitting inside of an enclosure that GM brought, so I didn't see one out in the parking lot. I didn't get to hear the engine. So from that perspective, maybe that's why I wasn't wowed. I think if I got behind the seat and drove it, I would probably be a little more wowed. But with that said, let's get right into the top 5 things that I hate about the C8 Corvette. And hate might be a strong word, so I'll use the top 5 things that I dislike about a Corvette. Now I'm going to call them hate to start with, but at the end of the day, they're really things that I dislike. Things that I could live with, just things that I dislike. The number 5 thing that I hate about the C8 Corvette is the taillights. To me, the taillights still look an awful lot like a Camaro. It's like they went through the whole front of the car, did a great job on redesigning, and then they got to the back and said, I'm getting a little tired. Why don't we throw some Camaro taillights and Camaro rear end and Camaro exhaust on this car and call it a day? I'm not happy about that. They could have done a much better job. I would love to see them bring back round taillights. Round taillights are just classic Corvette. If they could have put round taillights back into this car with a very similar looking rear end, it probably would have been a home run. But no, they had to go with these rectangular taillights that are Camaro-ish like. So I say, bring back the round taillights. The number 4 thing that I hate about the C8 Corvette is the exhaust. They moved the exhaust back out to the sides and they made them square. I think that they totally missed the boat by not doing something that was maybe a little more McLaren-ish or something more exotic, something coming out the bumper, maybe out the center of the bumper like I've circled in this picture. Now I know it would be a little challenging to do that with trunk space and everything, but I would be willing to give up one set of golf club storage to have some really cool exhaust coming out the center of the rear bumper. The number 3 thing that I hate about the C8 Corvette is the passenger seat. The passenger seat, unlike the C7 Corvette, has no passenger grab handle. So when the driver's driving aggressive, yeah, you'll be kind of tucked in the car, but it's not like you could reach down and grab that center console like you could in a C7, and you can't grab the door like you can in a C7. You can, I guess, in the C8 a little bit, but it doesn't seem to have near the functionality that the C7 Corvette has. Now, I bring this up, it's a driver's car, I get that, but I bring this up because in my family, I'm not always going to be the driver. I'm going to have to be living in the passenger seat sometimes, so I have to think about the passenger. If I was just the driver, in my house, I'd probably still have to think about the passenger if I'm honest about it, but it is a driver's car, it is very driver-centric, and that is one disappointment to me compared to the C7. I think that they missed an opportunity to keep the passenger happy, which is often the wife. And that brings me to the number 2 thing that I hate about the C8 Corvette, and actually that's the way that the driver's display faces the driver. I would prefer it to be more neutral, to where the passenger could look at the GPS a little bit more effectively, look at the screen, kind of see what's going on. I get, again, that this is a very driver-centric car, but Chevrolet has to keep in mind that it's not always the driver making the decisions in the household. I would suggest that they don't point everything towards the driver and make it a little more passenger-driver-centric than just driver-centric. Again, it's not always the driver making the decision in the household. You know what I mean? And we come to the number 1 thing that I hate about the C8 Corvette, and that's the square steering wheel. What's up with that? I don't know. It may be different. It may be race car-ish like, but I think I'm really going to struggle with the feel of a squared top steering wheel. I personally believe this is one time that it's not cool to be square. So those are my top 5 things that I hate. Again, hate is kind of a strong word. I'll say I dislike, and I wish GM would have done a little bit differently in the C8 Corvette. Overall, love the car. It's going to be a fantastic car, but I do believe that time will tell whether a few of the items that I brought up could probably have been done a little bit better. Thanks for being with us at the Full Octane Garage. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Tell all your friends about the cool stuff we're doing over here at the Full Octane Garage, and we look forward to seeing you in the near future.